Now, here's everything you should be doing to level up your hideout management skill fast, while still trying to make a profit. And you got to remember, every craft you do, that's 0.8 points. I believe every upgrade to any module is 12 points. So you want these crafts to be around, I would say a raid. So 30 minutes or less, and you should be good. You should be in and out of these crafts as soon as you get it. Because if you do a short craft, a 5-minute craft, yeah, it's fast. Yeah, you get those 8 points fast. But if you're not out of raid to reset it, what is the point? So it's good to kind of keep that balance with your profit margins and the time. We can start with lavatory. I usually like to stick to the scav vests. You can get them for usually about 15,000, and making those into rip stops. Now, alternatively, what you should also be doing is shampoos and soaps, and I'll go into more as to why in a bit, but these are a must. Always stocked with soap, always stocked with shampoo. You should be good. The ripstop should be giving you good enough profit to keep the other ones going. And for workbench, hawks and eagles, that's my bread and butter. These eagles go for 60 to 70 a piece, and you can use them to craft the hawks as well, and you get 3 hawks. So it's a pretty good deal. You use one of the eagles for the hawks, and the hawks usually go for about 50k. Let's see what they're at right now. Oh, they're low. They're at 40 right now. It's still a pretty good profit margin for just needing match and an eagle. Now, if we move on over to intelligence center, I usually just craft labs cards, and labs cards have always been sitting at around 100k. Lately, since icebreaker, everything is sitting a little lower. So right now they're just at 90, but even at 90k, you're still pushing profit. Maybe not as much, but it's still there. And you should always be crafting purified waters, and you should always be crafting emergency water rations as well. Quick 18 minutes. Everything you should be doing should be around 30 minutes or less, I think. That's kind of like the main goal here. I know this is an hour, but I'll make an exception for the eagles. Same thing, you should always be crafting moonshines. Simply because you should always be using your scav case. Now for med station, I like to stick to 4 crafts. I usually craft myself salvos. I also craft pile of meds constantly. These should always be going, in my opinion. Usually you can get these sold for around 30k. However, since icebreaker, everything's been kind of super down. And Vaseline or SJ6. Those are the main ones. I don't know why I don't have this favorited, but SJ6 always good profit to fully craft them, like from the beginning. Starting from propitals to these guys, and then crafting SJ6s is probably a little bit tedious, but I usually find these no issue. So just look around. You should be getting them pretty consistently. But we'll go ahead and start the craft on the Vaselines here. And both of these around 30 minutes, perfect time, to be in and out of a raid. Now, nutrition unit is a little depending on certain things. Like I like to craft the kvases, and you get 2 of those craft, and then I usually craft that twice to get 4. And then you can use those in the beer craft, which you should be doing always. That beer craft is used to make the shampoo, and the shampoo is just a necessity, of course. Now for the right croutons, something you could do is you could actually buy the Amelias, and you can buy 3, and then you can actually use the barter. There's a barter for 3 Amelias to turn them into Ryes. And you can see how expensive rye croutons are. They're kind of insane. And if you look at what we just bought these for, it's quite a stark difference. So definitely it saves you a lot of money doing it that way. It is a little bit tedious. I prefer to have things like one click and go. That's kind of the whole idea, but it is worth doing it for that. And then another one I like to do, nutrition, is going to be the water bottle craft. This is like a break-even craft, but if you don't have anything else, this is just the most solid, consistent way to get your points in. It is a little bit on the long side. It is 1 hour. There are shorter crafts, but if you don't have the items to make the craft, they're generally, they're too expensive. With the exception of maybe being this one. It all depends on where the coffee's at. And so they're at right now around 17,000 versus these are 32. So that's a break-even craft. But that's only if you have just kites laying around. But we'll go ahead and do the water bottle one. And moving on to our cultist circle here. Always use your lab cards. This is what you're making them for. Obviously to sell them, but you also should be using them. Whether it's actually going into labs or using them for your cultist circle. But what we can do is we can do the Peacekeeper barter. For the G28, you can throw that in your cultist circle and it's going to give you your max value. That it'll meet that threshold. You got 14 hours. And then the scav case, like I said, gives you points as well. You should always be using this in my opinion. It is gambling. It's actually been very beneficial to use for me in the long run. And this is where I'm at in terms of leveling. I got my crafting max level pretty fast, especially compared to hideout management. But I've really been focusing on hideout management as of late, and it's been cruising along pretty well. So yeah, level 44, not a bad deal. And for everything I said before that it does, it truly is worth. It's a worth skill to level up. Extra slot on the fuel, on the water, and the air purifier. It's all good. So definitely work on that. Keep it simple, but try to maintain that profit, and always check your prices. Everything in this video I said could be a little outdated just because things are kind of crazy right now with Icebreaker. So just check your prices on everything, but these should stay pretty solid, I would say. But thank you guys for sticking around. See you next time.